Shedeur Sanders, plus a fourth-round draft pick to the Indianapolis Colts in exchange for Anthony Richardson. That's right, the Shedeur Sanders, who was once touted as a potential top 5 pick before plummeting to the 5th round due to attitude questions, suspect interviews, and what some scouts called red flags bigger than caution tape. The timing of this rumor is borderline surreal. We're talking about a rookie who hasn't even completed his first mini camp, hasn't thrown a single pass in anger, and he's already being dangled as trade fodder. Here comes the juicy, poetic irony that makes this story prime NFL drama. Joe Flacco, the 40-year-old journeyman who single-handedly salvaged the Browns' 2023 season from implosion, is witnessing this entire circus unfold with that trademark sardonic grin only a Super Bowl MVP can deliver. This isn't your garden variety offseason chatter. This trade speculation is gasoline on an already roaring fire. The Browns' quarterback room is more crowded than a Black Friday sale at Walmart. Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Sanders, and the looming specter of Deshaun Watson nursing 2 Achilles tears and carrying a $230 million 0 cents guaranteed contract that's aging like a milk carton in the sun. Let's relish the comedic gold in this situation. Joe Flacco's reactions alone deserve an Emmy. First, the revelation that had me doubled over in laughter. Flacco admitted he only found out about the Browns drafting Sanders when his wife casually mentioned it, like telling him the dog needed a bath. Picture it, the same man who rescued Cleveland's season from quarterback purgatory, discovering his supposed heir apparent through spousal notification. The deadpan delivery, pure gold, but then pure comedic platinum. During a recent OTA, Sanders asked Flacco if he'd ever hit that dance, and proceeded to demonstrate some TikTok-away moves that probably already have their own hashtags. Flacco's response was delivered with all the enthusiasm of a parking meter. Definitely not. I don't think I've ever done a public dance move in my life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shakespearean-level comedy. On one side, you've got Jaire Sanders, the Colorado prince, dripping in diamond chains worth more than most people's cars, wearing designer fits that could pay my mortgage twice over, and flexing viral dances before the play even ends. On the other, Joe Flacco, a man who's been throwing NFL spirals since Sanders was memorizing multiplication tables, and who treats dancing like it's radioactive waste that might contaminate his quarterback aura. The generational divide isn't just visible, it's a Grand Canyon of difference. When reporters baited Flacco into discussing his mentor role with the rookies, he flat out declared, "Look, I'm here to win football games, not run a daycare center." The man refuses to accept the veteran babysitter role because he genuinely believes he's still the best quarterback in that room, and he might just be right. This dynamic is creating locker room chemistry that's part sitcom, part documentary. Sanders even admitted he's starstruck seeing Flacco every day. While Flacco treats Sanders like an interesting science experiment that he's observing with academic detachment, here's where things get controversial. Where Browns fans might either dance in the streets or burn their jerseys in effigy. Let's unpack this potential Richardson trade from every possible angle, because this move could shape Cleveland's next decade. The case for the trade is actually stronger than many realize. Anthony Richardson was the 4th overall pick in 2023, and that draft capital doesn't just vanish into thin air because of rookie struggles. Yes, he struggled mightily with accuracy. A brutal 47.7% completion rate last season that made Chad Pennington look like Aaron Rodgers. And yes, he got benched for Joe Flacco in Indy faster than you can say franchise quarterback. But the physical tools? Absolutely undeniable. Frankly, terrifying for opposing defenses. We're talking about a 6'4", 244-pound athletic marvel who can effortlessly launch 70-yard bombs and clock a legitimate 4.4-second 40-yard dash that makes linebackers question their life choices. His arm talent is elite tier, his mobility is game-altering, and his upside remains sky-high despite early struggles. The Green Bay Packers have severed ties, and now the question on every Browns fan's mind isn't just if he'll land somewhere quickly, but whether Cleveland should pounce on the opportunity. Buckle up, because this decision could transform the franchise's destiny. And yes, I'm about to break down exactly why. According to Jeremy Fowler, the Packers' move wasn't just about on-field performance. It was about cost, injury history, and attitude. That's the harsh reality of the NFL. Now, the Browns, who boast Denzel Ward as a stalwart of reliability and have two other corners still striving to prove themselves, are staring at a golden opportunity. You might be wondering, is Alexander worth the gamble? Is he a good fit for Cleveland? I ask myself the same questions, until the numbers started painting a compelling picture. Let's talk turkey. The Browns' cornerback room isn't dreadful, but it's far from elite. Denzel Ward is untouchable, a legitimate CB1. Beyond him, Martin Emerson shows promise, and Greg Newsome flashes potential, but neither has consistently given you that lockdown confidence week in and week out. But drop Alexander's name into the mix, and suddenly everything changes. Alexander is a corner with elite ball skills and some of the best recovery speed in the game. His ability to rebound mid-rate is a rarity. When healthy, he performs at a Pro Bowl level. Just look at his 2022 campaign. 56 tackles, 14 pass deflections, 5 interceptions. These are the hallmarks of a shutdown cornerback, no debate. But here's the catch. Consistency has been elusive. He played only 4 games in 2021, 7 in 2023, and 2020 was no different. His only fully healthy stretch came in 2022. That's the risk profile. And then there's the financial reality. Alexander commands a premium salary, $21 million, 0 cents per year, making him one of the highest paid corners in the league. Worse still, last season, none of that was guaranteed. The Packers didn't trust his availability enough to commit. So why should the Browns? Because Browns fans, sometimes you bet on talent. Sometimes you bet on upside. This defense has the skeleton of a championship caliber unit. The defensive line is elite. The secondary is one key piece away. Add Alexander, and suddenly you've got a fearsome CB tandem. Ward on one side, Alexander on the other. That's a coverage nightmare for opposing offenses. Financially, it's not a no-brainer. Cleveland's current cap space sits around $18,100,000, 0 cents, just shy of Alexander's price tag. But here's where it gets interesting. Greg Newsome's 2025 cap hit is $13,370,000, 0 cents. Trade Newsome, free up space, and suddenly you're working with over $30 million, 0 cents in cap flexibility. You could sign Alexander to a 1-year prove-it deal, manage your risk, and potentially supercharge your secondary. Let's be honest, Newsome has had his share of blown coverages. He's not the worst corner by any means. But if you're asking which player gives the Browns the best shot to lock down the AFC's top receivers, the answer is Jaire Alexander, 10 times out of 10. Now, let's flip the coin. Does Alexander even want to come to Cleveland? Interest is sky high. Sources say the Cowboys, Ravens, 49ers, Dolphins, and Vikings are all circling. These aren't bottom feeders. They're legitimate playoff contenders seeking that final piece in their secondary. But don't discount Cleveland. Here, Alexander wouldn't just be another piece in the puzzle. He'd be the piece, the game changer, the centerpiece of a defense that already wreaks havoc in the trenches. Slide him in next to Denzel Ward, shift Emerson into the slot, and now you've got versatility, depth, and a unit that can take on anyone. That's how you rattle Mahomes. That's how you shut down Joe Burrow. That's how you make a deep playoff run. This move isn't simple. It's not a guarantee, but it's absolutely possible. And the upside is monumental. It's the kind of signing that elevates the entire defense and hands the front office a victory that reverberates all the way to the postseason. So now I'm turning the question over to you. Should the Browns make this move? Go after Jaire Alexander? Could this be the piece we've been missing? Or is the risk simply too steep? This isn't just another mundane offseason storyline. It's the genesis of what could be the most tumultuous and defining season the Browns have faced in a decade. A quarterback clash that lacks genuine competition, a new receiver fighting to validate his worth, a franchise pass rusher whose leadership is quietly being scrutinized by his own teammates, and a fan base torn between hope and deja vu. What's really happening in Cleveland? Stay tuned, because the truth is more revealing than anything we've seen on the gridiron. But first, If you're a diehard Cleveland Browns fan, hit that like button. And if you believe we're heading to the Super Bowl this year, drop this in the comments. Go Browns! I believe in the Super Bowl this year. Let's get right to the heart of the matter. The quarterback situation that's dominating every insider conversation. Electrifying rookie phenom from Colorado arrived in Cleveland with sky-high expectations and a tidal wave of hype. But the buzz may be premature, despite his undeniable talent. Reports surfacing from the Browns' second OTA session, open to the media, indicate that Sanders has virtually no chance of starting when the Browns face the Bengals in Week 1. Yes, you heard that right, 0. According to Zach Jackson of The Athletic, Shedeur has looked impressive in practice. When you watch him, he's a very gifted thrower. Accuracy, timing, all of that. If he can put it together, he's got a shot. That sounds promising until the rest of Jackson's quote lands like a hammer. But I don't think we should jump to conclusions. In other words, the talent is evident, but the coaching staff's trust isn't there. At least, not yet. Kevin Stefanski, the Browns head coach, remains tight-lipped about when or if Sanders might start. For now, Cleveland is leaning on experience and stability. That means 17-year veteran Joe Flacco or the newly acquired Kenny Pickett will likely be the ones to lead the offense out of the tunnel in Week 1. As for the rookies, they'll probably be watching from the sidelines. It's a four-way quarterback competition, Jackson confirmed, but added that there's less than a 4% chance that either rookie would realistically start in September. That's not just a slim chance, it's practically a locked door. Now, imagine being Shedeur Sanders. The cameras adore you, the fans chant your name, and yet you're starting at the bottom of the depth chart, struggling to climb a ladder that's not just steep, but bolted to the wall. But the quarterback room isn't the only source of tension. Let's talk about the wide receiver core. The Browns are staring down a glaring issue at WR. Jerry Jeudy is the clear-cut star. That much is certain. But who's the second threat? Cedric Tillman has flashed potential but hasn't delivered consistent production. Deontay Johnson, once a coveted weapon, is now a veteran on a prove-it deal, and he's already drawing side-eyes for skipping voluntary OTAs. In a locker room desperate to reset its culture and leave behind the wreckage of a disastrous 2024 season, that kind of move doesn't go unnoticed. Johnson, who bounced between Carolina, Baltimore, and Houston last season, has undeniable talent, but carries a perception problem. Browns fans didn't hold back their frustration when he was a no-show for OTA. And while it's technically voluntary, the optics are brutal for a guy fighting to prove he still belongs. And just when the drama seemed to hit its peak, here comes Jamari Thrash. The 2024 fifth-rounder from Louisville barely saw the field last season. Just 3 catches for 22 yards. But with Elijah Moore not re-signed and Jeudy occasionally sliding into the slot, Thrash is suddenly in the spotlight. According to Zach Jackson, Thrash was the first man up as the slot receiver in OTA ahead of veteran DeAndre Carter. Think about that. A rookie with almost no NFL resume is getting first-team reps. That's either a scathing indictment of the veterans or a clear sign that Cleveland sees something special in Thrash. His college tape backs it up. Dynamic yards after catch ability, breakaway speed in open space, and the kind of twitchy burst that cracks defenses wide open. If he earns Stefanski's trust, he could become the Browns' secret weapon this fall. The Browns' offense is undeniably in desperate need of a spark, but it's not just the offensive struggles grabbing headlines. Myles Garrett, the cornerstone of Cleveland's defense, now finds himself embroiled in controversy. Despite signing a record-shattering 4-year, $160 million, 0-cents extension this offseason, Garrett skipped voluntary OTAs. Technically permitted, sure, but symbolically, it's a lightning rod. Fans were disheartened. Analysts openly question the message it sends. And the tension didn't stop there. One of his own teammates, fellow defensive end Ogbo Okoronkwo, fueled the fire by liking an Instagram post that criticized Garrett's leadership. That move ignited social media like a bonfire in the heart of First Energy Stadium. Coming off a season where he posted 14 sacks, 47 tackles, and 3 forced fumbles, Garrett remains one of the league's most formidable defenders. But now that he's the highest-paid defensive player in franchise history, and with a no-trade clause to boot, leadership is no longer optional. It's expected. Here's the twist. All of this drama is unfolding on the heels of a season where the Browns went from playoff hopefuls to cellar dwellers. When Gabriel first took the field at Browns OTA, it wasn't his arm strength or command of the huddle that stood out. It was the fact that compared to the colossal offensive linemen towering before him, he appeared diminutive. Not just rookie adjusting to the NFL small, but visibly undersized. Standing barely above 5'11", Gabriel's stature became an immediate focal point, and not just for fans or analysts. One moment said it all. Mason Graham, looming over Gabriel, effortlessly swatted down a pass attempt. A stark, almost theatrical demonstration of the quarterback's physical limitations. Gabriel, straining to arc the ball over the line, leaned into his throw, but it wasn't even close. The pass was rejected, dead center in Graham's palm. It wasn't merely a failed play, it was a glaring testament to what the Browns had signed up for. And the scrutiny didn't stop there. Off the field, the media wasted no time piling on. One Browns beat reporter, caught on a hot mic as Gabriel exited a press conference, was heard remarking, "I'm taller than him." That kind of unscripted moment is gold for skeptics. And now Browns fans are left to wonder whether they've landed a potential franchise quarterback or just another training camp sideshow waiting to flame out. But don't count him out just yet, because like any compelling football story, there's another side. Gabriel may be undersized, but the game film tells a different story, one of arm talent, instincts, and one defining trait that might just tip the scales: precision. Drop your take in the comments right now. Let's delve deeper into this scenario. If Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski decide to pull the trigger and bring Jaire Alexander to Cleveland, the message is crystal clear. They're doubling down on defense. They're reinforcing the very identity that has defined this team in the post-Baker era. If Deshaun Watson's return to elite form remains uncertain, this front office might be declaring, fine, we'll win with defense, and we'll do it better than anyone else. Picture it. Week 1, 2025. The defense lines up with Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith wreaking havoc on the edges. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah flying around as a heat-seeking missile in the middle. Denzel Ward locking down one sideline, and on the other, Jaire Alexander. And on the other, just a good unit. That's championship caliber. You can feel it. The statement it sends to every AFC offense. You're not going to out-scheme us, you're not going to slice us up with quick passes, and you're not going to get comfortable. That's how you win playoff games in Buffalo. That's how you neutralize Miami's speed and Baltimore's unpredictability. That's how you beat Kansas City, by keeping Mahomes guessing, harassed, and covered. Let's revisit the trade mechanics. Yes, parting ways with Greg Newsome would sting for some fans, a former first-round pick who's made his share of plays. But this is where the cold, calculated side of roster building takes over. Newsome's $13,370,000 0 cents cap hit in 2025 isn't a luxury if he's not consistently performing at a high level. If you can flip that cap space into an elite talent like Alexander, even on a short-term deal, the math makes sense. A one-year contract mitigates long-term risk and maximizes the team's win-now window. Rarely do you get the chance to upgrade a premium position like cornerback without surrendering draft picks. Alexander is a street free agent, no trade compensation, no draft capital. That's a rare opportunity, and at just 27 years old, he's still in his prime. Of course, it all hinges on one critical factor: health. This is the X factor you can't ignore. You don't miss 20-plus games in 3 seasons by accident. Alexander's shoulder has been a consistent issue, and once the injuries pile up, the red flags fly high. That's where the Browns' medical staff and front office must do their due diligence. They need to be absolutely convinced he can stay on the field for the majority of the season. Thank you guys, everything. See you next video.